Taking Lives is a 2004 American psychological thriller film directed by DJ Caruso and starring Angelina Jolie and Ethan Hawke, with supporting roles by Kiefer Sutherland, Olivier Martinez, Tchéky Karyo, Jean-Hugues Anglade, and Gena Rowlands. Loosely adapted from the 1999 novel by Michael Pye, the film centers on an enigmatic serial killer who takes on the identities of his victims. The film was shot on location in Montreal and Quebec City, Quebec. The original music score was composed by Philip Glass and the main title's theme was composed by Walter Werzowa of the electronica group Edelweiss. The film was released in the United States on March 19, 2004 by Warner Brothers Pictures. It received negative reviews. 2. Plot. In 1983, teenagers Martin Asher and Matt Soulsby meet on a bus to Mont-Laurier, Quebec. The bus breaks down, and the two acquire a car, which soon blows a tire. As Matt changes the tire, Martin comments that they are about the same height, and kicks him into the path of an oncoming truck, killing both him and the driver. Taking Matt's guitar and clothes, Martin continues on foot, singing in a voice similar to Matt's. 21 years later, FBI profiler Ileana Scott is summoned by Inspector Leclerc to help Montreal authorities in apprehending a serial killer who assumes his victims' identities, enabling him to travel undetected across North America. Ileana interviews art dealer James Costa, an eyewitness to the killer's most recent murder. He makes a drawing of the killer, so the authorities track down the suspect's apartment, finding a decaying corpse chained in the ceiling. Martin's mother Rebecca claims to have seen her son, believed dead in Matt's place years earlier, alive on a ferry to Quebec City, leading to the body buried as Martin being exhumed for forensic examination, and he becomes the primary suspect. At Rebecca's home, Ileana questions her about her son, learning that Martin was an unwanted child who became unstable after the death of his favored twin brother. Ileana finds a hidden passageway behind a cabinet leading to Martin's secret room, where she is attacked by a hidden assailant, who escapes before she can identify him. Ileana deduces that Asher targets his victims to live as someone different than himself, and that his latest target is James after his apartment is ransacked. He is used in a sting operation to lure Asher, but the trap fails. During a show at his gallery, James is attacked by an assailant, presumed to be Asher, whom Ileana tries to apprehend but loses in the crowd. The police prepare to move James out of town, but he is confronted by the assailant, who attacks him and kills his police escort before driving away with James at gunpoint. Ileana gives chase, and causes the car to crash and explode just as James manages to escape. James visits Ileana's hotel room where, having grown close over the course of the investigation, they make passionate love surrounded by gruesome crime scene photos. Ileana awakens to find herself covered in James' blood, but he has merely popped the stitches he received after the car chase. As James' stitches are repaired in the hospital, Ileana is called to the morgue, where Rebecca is unable to identify the charred body of the assailant, and Ileana realizes that Asher must still be alive. Before Ileana can reach her, Rebecca enters the elevator and is confronted by James, revealing himself as the real Martin Asher. He kills his mother, and Ileana is shocked to see him covered in blood before the elevator doors close again, and he escapes the hospital. The police determine that the assailant killed in the car chase was Christopher Hart, a drug addict and art thief to whom Asher owed money. In the struggle in his apartment, Asher killed Hart and staged being taken hostage. Pursued by the police, Asher escapes by train and selects his next victim, taunting Ileana by phone before disappearing. Admitting to having consensual sex with Asher, Ileana is fired from the FBI. 7 months later, Ileana is living alone in a desolate farmhouse in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, apparently heavily pregnant with Asher's twins. She is confronted by Asher, who declares that they can start over and live together as a family, but Ileana refuses. Enraged, Asher beats her and prepares to choke her into unconsciousness, seizing a pair of scissors from her when she defends herself and stabbing her in the belly. Ilyana stabs Asher in the heart with the same scissors and removes her prosthetic pregnant belly, explaining that the past months were a carefully planned trap. He dies, and Ilyana informs Leclerc the ordeal is over. Cast: Angelina Jolie as Ilyana Scott, Ethan Hawke as Martin Asher aka James Costa, Kiefer Sutherland as Christopher Hart, Olivier Martinez as Joseph Paquette, Tchéky Karyo as Leclerc, Jean-Hugues Anglade as Émile Duval, Gena Rowlands as Rebecca Asher, Martin's mother, Paul Dano as young Martin Asher, Justin Chatwin as Matt Soulsby. Story and writing credit. The film is based on the novel of the same title by Michael Pye. Numerous hands had a part in the screenplay as script doctors. The cover page of the screenplay credits John Bokenkamp with the original draft, Nicholas Kazan with subsequent revisions, Hilary Seitz with more revisions, and David Ayer with the last revisions, to February 28, 2003. 3. The UGA screenwriting credit system ultimately awarded screenplay and adaptation credit to Bokenkamp alone. Production. On April 3, 2001, it was announced that Jennifer Lopez was in negotiations to star in the film, with Tony Scott attached to direct. 4. On September 19, 2002, it was reported that Angelina Jolie and Ethan Hawke were in talks to topline the thriller. Before Jolie was circling the project, Cate Blanchett and Gwyneth Paltrow were approached to play the part. 5. On May 9, 2003, Kiefer Sutherland joined the cast, with DJ Caruso confirmed to helm the film. 6. On May 21, 2003, Olivier Martinez joined the film, Gena Rowlands being also cast in an unspecified role. Principal photography began later that month in Montreal. 7. Reception. Critical response. The film has received mostly poor reviews. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film a score of 22% based on reviews from 157 critics. The site's consensus states, a stylish, but predictable thriller where the only thrills are offered by the sensuous Angelina Jolie. 8. Film critic Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, describing it as an effective thriller, on its modest but stylish level. 9. Total Film, a UK film magazine, gave it 2 stars out of 5 with the verdict, starting off well but rapidly losing its way, taking lives is more serial killer flick than serial killer we been fed this mush 1,000 times. 10. Angelina Jolie earned a Razzie Award nomination for Worst Actress for her performance in the movie, also for Alexander, but lost the trophy to Halle Berry for Catwoman. Angelina Jolie 3/Jolie, born Angelina Jolie Voight 4/Voight/ June 4, 1975, is an American actress, filmmaker, and humanitarian. The recipient of numerous accolades, including an Academy Award, a Tony Award and 3 Golden Globe Awards, she has been named Hollywood's highest-paid actress multiple times. Jolie made her screen debut as a child alongside her father, Jon Voight, in Lookin' to Get Out, 1982. Her film career began in earnest a decade later with the low-budget production Cyborg 2, 1993, followed by her first leading role in Hackers, 1995. After starring in the television films George Wallace, 1997, and Gia, 1998, Jolie won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for the 1999 drama Girl, Interrupted. Her portrayal of the titular heroine in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, established her as a leading lady. Jolie's success continued with roles in the action films Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, Wanted, 2008, and Salt, 2010, as well as in the fantasy film Maleficent, 2014, and its 2019 sequel. She also had voice roles in the animated films Shark Tale, 2004, and Kung Fu Panda franchise, 2008 to 2016, and gained praise for her dramatic performances in A Mighty Heart, 2007, Changeling, 2008, which earned her a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actress, and Maria, 2024. As a filmmaker, Jolie directed and wrote the war dramas In the Land of Blood and Honey, 2011, Unbroken, 2014, First They Killed My Father, 2017, and Without Blood, 2024. She also produced the musical The Outsiders, 2024, winning the Tony Award for Best Musical. Jolie is known for her humanitarian efforts. The causes she promotes include conservation, education, and women's rights. She has been noted for her advocacy on behalf of refugees as a special envoy for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. She has undertaken field missions to refugee camps and war zones worldwide. In addition to receiving a Jean Hershold Humanitarian Award among other honors, Jolie was made an honorary Dame Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. As a public figure, Jolie has been cited as one of the most powerful and influential people in the American entertainment industry. She has been cited as the world's most beautiful woman by various publications. Her personal life, including her relationships and health, has been the subject of widespread attention. Jolie is divorced from actors Johnny Lee Miller, Billy Bob Thornton, and Brad Pitt. She has 6 children with Pitt. Early life and background. Angelina Jolie Voigt was born on June 4, 1975, at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, California, to actors John Voight and Markellen Bertrand. 546. She is the sister of actor James Haven, and the niece of singer Chip Taylor. 7. And geologist and volcanologist Barry Voigt. 8. Her godparents are actors Jacqueline Bisset and Maximilian Schell. 9. On her father's side, Jolie is of German and Slovak descent. 10. While on her mother's side, she is of Dutch and French ancestry, and a descendant of Netherlands' former finance minister, and Prime Minister Wim Kok. 11. 12. 13. Jolie has claimed to have distant indigenous, Iroquois, ancestry through her French-Canadian mother. However, her father says Jolie is not seriously Iroquois, saying it is something he and Bertrand made up to make Bertrand seem more exotic. 14. Jolie's father, actor John Voight, attending the 60th Academy Awards in 1988. Following her parents' separation in 1976, she and her brother lived with their mother, who had abandoned her acting ambitions to focus on raising her children. 15. Jolie's mother raised her as a Catholic but did not require her to go to church. 16. As a child, she often watched films with her mother, and it was this, rather than her father's successful career, that inspired her interest in acting. 17. Though she had a bit part in Voight's Lookin' to Get Out, 1982, at age 7. 18. When Jolie was 6 years old, Bertrand and her live-in partner, filmmaker Bill Day, moved the family to Palisades, New York. 19. They returned to Los Angeles 5 years later. 15. Jolie then decided she wanted to act and enrolled at the Lee Strasberg Theatre Institute, where she trained for 2 years and appeared in several stage productions. 20. Jolie first attended Beverly Hills High School, where she felt isolated among the children of some of the area's affluent families because her mother had a more modest income. She was teased by other students, who targeted her for being extremely thin and for wearing glasses and braces. 17. Her early attempts at modeling, at her mother's insistence, proved unsuccessful. 21-22. She transferred to Moreno High School, an alternative school, where she became a punk outsider. 21. Wearing all black clothing, going out motioning, and engaging in knife play with her live-in boyfriend. 17. She dropped out of her acting classes and aspired to become a funeral director. 18. Taking at-home courses on embalming. 23. At age 16, after the relationship had ended, Jolie graduated from high school and rented her own apartment before returning to theater studies. 15-21. Though in 2004 she referred to this period with the observation, "I am still at heart and always will be just a punk kid with tattoos." 24. As a teenager, Jolie found it difficult to emotionally connect with other people, and as a result she self-harmed. 25. Later commenting, "For some reason, the ritual of having cut myself and feeling the pain, maybe feeling alive, feeling some kind of release, it was somehow therapeutic to me. 26. She also struggled with insomnia and an eating disorder. 23 and began using drugs. By age 20, she had used just about every drug possible, particularly heroin. 27 Jolie had episodes of depression and planned to commit suicide twice at age 19 and again at 22, when she attempted to hire a hitman to kill her. 18 When she was 24, she experienced a nervous breakdown and was admitted for 72 hours to UCLA Medical Center's psychiatric ward. 18 2 years later, after adopting her first child, Jolie found stability, later stating, "I knew once I committed to Maddox, I would never be self-destructive again." 28. Jolie has had a lifelong dysfunctional relationship with her father, which started when Voight left the family when she was less than a year old. 29 She has said that from then on their time together was sporadic and usually carried out in front of the press. 30 They reconciled when they appeared together in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, but their relationship again deteriorated. 15 Jolie petitioned the court to legally remove her surname, Voight, in favor of her middle name, which she had long used as a stage name. The name change was granted on September 12, 2002. 31 Voight then went public with their estrangement during an appearance on Access Hollywood, in which he claimed Jolie had serious mental problems. 32. At that point, her mother and brother also broke off contact with him. 33 Jolie and Voight did not speak for 6.5 years. 34 Eventually rebuilding their relationship in the wake of Bertrand's death from ovarian cancer on January 27, 2007. 35 And they both went public with their reconciliation 3 years later. 33. Career. Early work, 1991 to 1997. Jolie committed to acting professionally at the age of 16, but initially found it difficult to pass auditions, often being told that her demeanor was too dark. 18. She appeared in 5 of her brother's student films, made while he attended the USC School of Cinema Television, as well as in several music videos, such as those for Lenny Kravitz's Stand By My Woman, 1991, Antonello Vendisti's Alta Maria, 1991, The Lemonheads' It's About Time, 1993, and Meatloaf's Rock and Roll Dreams Come Through, 1993. In 1993, she also appeared on the cover of the Widespread Panic album Everyday. 36 Jolie then learned from her father by noticing his method of observing people to become like them. Their relationship was less strained during this time, with Jolie realizing that they were both drama queens. 17. Jolie started her professional film career in 1993, when she played her first leading role in the direct-to-video science fiction sequel Cyborg 2, as a near-human robot designed for corporate espionage and assassination. She was so disappointed with the film that she did not audition again for a year. 18 Following a supporting role in the independent film Without Evidence, 1995, she starred in her first major studio film, Hackers, 1995. The New York Times critic Janet Maslin wrote that Jolie's character stands out, because she scowls even more sourly than her co-stars and is that rare female hacker who sits intently at her keyboard in a see-through top. 37. Hackers failed to make a profit at the box office, but developed a cult following after its video release. 38 The role in Hackers is considered Jolie's breakthrough. 39 40 41. After starring in the modern-day Romeo and Juliet adaptation Love Is All There Is, 1996, Jolie appeared in the road movie Mojave Moon, 1996. In Foxfire, 1996, she played Legs, a drifter who unites 4 teenage girls against a teacher who has sexually harassed them. Jack Matthews of the Los Angeles Times wrote of her performance, "It took a lot of hogwash to develop this character, but Jolie, Jon Voight's knockout daughter, has the presence to overcome the stereotype." Though the story is narrated by Maddie, Legs is the subject and the catalyst. 42. In 1997, Jolie starred with David Duchovny in the thriller Playing God, set in the Los Angeles underworld. The film was not well received by critics. Chicago Sun-Times critic Roger Ebert wrote that Jolie finds a certain warmth in a kind of role that is usually hard and aggressive. She seems too nice to be a mobster's girlfriend, and maybe she is. 43. Her next work, as a frontierswoman in the CBS miniseries True Women, 1997, was even less successful. Writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer, Robert Strauss dismissed her as horrid, a fourth-rate Scarlett O'Hara who relies on gnashed teeth and overly pouted lips. 44. Jolie also starred in the music video for the Rolling Stones' Anybody Seen My Baby? As a stripper who leaves mid-performance to wander New York City. 45. Rise to prominence, 1998 to 2000. Jolie's career prospects improved after she won a Golden Globe Award for her performance in TNT's George Wallace, 1997, a film about segregationist Alabama governor and presidential candidate George Wallace, played by Gary Sinise. Jolie portrayed Wallace's second wife, Cornelia Wallace, a performance Lee Winfrey of the Philadelphia Inquirer considered a highlight of the film. 46. George Wallace was well received by critics, and Jolie received a nomination for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Miniseries or a Movie for her performance. 47. Jolie portrayed supermodel Gia Karanji in HBO's Gia, 1998. The television film chronicles the destruction of Karanji's life and career as a result of her addiction to heroin, and her decline and death from AIDS in the mid-1980s. Vanessa Vance of Real.com retrospectively noted, Jolie gained wide recognition for her role as the titular Gia, and it's easy to see why. Jolie is fierce in her portrayal, filling the part with nerve, charm, and desperation, and her role in this film is quite possibly the most beautiful train wreck ever filmed. 48. For the second consecutive year, Jolie won a Golden Globe Award and received an Emmy Award nomination. She also won her first Screen Actors Guild Award. 49. In accordance with Lee Strasberg's method acting, Jolie preferred to stay in character in between scenes during many of her early films. While shooting Gia, she told her husband, Johnny Lee Miller, that she would not be able to phone him. I'd tell him, I'm alone, I'm dying, I'm gay, I'm not going to see you for weeks. 50. After Gia wrapped, she briefly gave up acting, because she felt that she had nothing else to give. 18. She separated from Miller and moved to New York, where she took night classes at New York University to study directing and screenwriting. 15. Encouraged by her Golden Globe Award win for George Wallace and the positive critical reception of Gia, Jolie resumed her career. 18. Following the previously filmed gangster film Hell's Kitchen, 1998, Jolie returned to the screen in Playing by Heart, 1998, part of an ensemble cast that included Sean Connery, Gillian Anderson, and Ryan Phillip. The film received predominantly positive reviews, and Jolie was praised. In particular, San Francisco Chronicle critic Peter Stack wrote, Jolie, working through an overwritten part, is a sensation as the desperate club crawler learning truths about what she's willing to gamble. 51. She won the Breakthrough Performance Award from the National Board of Review. 52. In 1999, Jolie starred in the comedy drama Pushing Tin, alongside John Cusack, Billy Bob Thornton, and Cate Blanchett. The film met with mixed reception from critics, and Jolie's character Thornton's seductive wife was particularly criticized. Writing for the Washington Post, Desson Howe dismissed her as a completely ludicrous writer's creation of a free-spirited woman who weeps over hibiscus plants that die, wears lots of turquoise rings, and gets real lonely when Russell spends entire nights away from home. 53. Jolie then co-starred with Denzel Washington in The Bone Collector, 1999, playing a police officer who reluctantly helps Washington's quadriplegic detective track down a serial killer. The film grossed $151.5 million worldwide, 54, but was critically unsuccessful. Terry Lawson of the Detroit Free Press concluded, Jolie, while always delicious to look at, is simply and woefully miscast. 55. Jolie is emerging as one of the great wild spirits of current movies, a loose cannon who somehow has deadly aim. Chicago Sun-Times critic Roger Ebert on Jolie's performance in Girl, Interrupted, 1999, 56. Jolie next took the supporting role of Lisa, a sociopathic patient in a psychiatric hospital, in Girl, Interrupted, 1999, an adaptation of Susanna Kayson's 1993 memoir. For Variety, Emmanuel Levy deemed her excellent as the flamboyant, irresponsible girl who turns out to be far more instrumental than the doctors in Susanna's rehabilitation. 57. Jolie won the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress, Motion Picture, the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role, and the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in the film. In 2000, Jolie appeared in her first summer blockbuster, Gone in 60 Seconds, which became her highest-grossing film to that point, earning $237.2 million internationally. 54. She had a minor role as the mechanic ex-girlfriend of a car thief played by Nicolas Cage. The Washington Post writer Stephen Hunter criticized that all she does in this movie is stand around, cooling down, modeling those fleshy, pulsating muscle tubes that nest so provocatively around her teeth. 58. Jolie later explained that the film had been a welcome relief after her emotionally demanding role in Girl, Interrupted. Worldwide recognition, 2001 to 2004. Although widely praised for her acting and performances, Jolie had rarely found films that appealed to a wide audience, but 2001's Lara Croft, Tomb Raider made her an international superstar. An adaptation of the popular Tomb Raider video games, the film required her to learn an English accent and undergo extensive martial arts training to play the archaeologist-adventurer Lara Croft. Although the film generated mostly negative reviews, Jolie was generally praised for her physical performance. Newsday's John Anderson commented, "Jolie makes the title character a virtual icon of female competence and couth." 59. The film was an international hit, earning $274.7 million worldwide. 54. And launched her global reputation as a female action star. Jolie next starred opposite Antonio Banderas as his mail-order bride in Original Sin, 2001, the first of a string of films that were poorly received by critics and audiences alike. The New York Times critic Elvis Mitchell questioned Jolie's decision to follow her Oscar-winning performance with softcore nonsense. 60. The romantic comedy Life or Something Like It, 2002, though equally unsuccessful, marked an unusual choice for Jolie. Salon magazine's Alan Barra considered her ambitious newscaster character a rare attempt at playing a conventional women's role, noting that her performance doesn't get off the ground until a scene where she goes punk and leads a group of striking bus workers in singing Satisfaction. 61. Despite her lack of box office success, Jolie remained in demand as an actress. 24. In 2002, she established herself among Hollywood's highest-paid actresses, earning $10 to $15 million per film for the next 5 years. 62. Jolie at the German premiere of Alexander in 2004. Jolie reprised her role as Lara Croft in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, 2003, which was not as lucrative as the original, earning $156.5 million at the international box office. 54. She also starred in the music video for Korn's Did My Time, which was used to promote the sequel. Her next film was Beyond Borders, 2003, in which she portrayed a socialite who joins an aid worker played by Clive Owen. Though unsuccessful with audiences, the film stands as the first of several passion projects Jolie has made to bring attention to humanitarian causes. 63. Beyond Borders was a critical failure. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times acknowledged Jolie's ability to bring electricity and believability to roles, but wrote that the limbo of a hybrid character, a badly written cardboard person in a fly-infested, blood and guts world, completely defeats her. 64. In 2004, Jolie appeared in 4 films. She first starred in the thriller Taking Lives as an FBI profiler summoned to help Montreal law enforcement hunt down a serial killer. The film received mixed reviews. The Hollywood Reporter critic Kirk Honeycutt concluded, "Jolie plays a role that definitely feels like something she has already done, but she does add an unmistakable dash of excitement and glamour." 65. Jolie made a brief appearance as a fighter pilot in Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, a science fiction adventure shot entirely with actors in front of a blue screen, and voiced her first family film, the DreamWorks animation Shark Tale. Her supporting role as Queen Olympias in Oliver Stone's Alexander, about Alexander the Great, was met with mixed reception, particularly concerning her Slavic accent. 61. Commercially, the film failed in North America, which Stone attributed to disapproval of the depiction of Alexander's bisexuality. 66. But it succeeded internationally, grossing $167.3 million. 54. Established actress, 2005 to 2010. In 2005, Jolie returned to major box office success with the action comedy Mr. and Mrs. Smith, in which she starred opposite Brad Pitt as a bored married couple who find out that they are both secret assassins. The film received mixed reviews, but was generally lauded for the chemistry between the two leads. Star Tribune critic Colin Covert noted, "While the story feels haphazard, the movie gets by on gregarious charm, galloping energy, and the star's thermonuclear screen chemistry." 67. With box office takings of $478.2 million worldwide, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was the seventh highest grossing picture of the year and remained Jolie's highest grossing live-action film for the next decade. 54. 68. Following a supporting role as the neglected wife of a CIA officer in Robert De Niro's The Good Shepherd, 2006, Jolie starred as Marion Pearl in the documentary-style drama A Mighty Heart, 2007. Based on Pearl's 2003 memoir, the film chronicles the kidnapping and murder of her husband, the Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl, in Pakistan. Although the multiracial Pearl had personally chosen Jolie for the role, 69, the casting drew racial criticism and accusations of blackface. 70. The resulting performance was widely praised. Ray Bennett of The Hollywood Reporter described it as well-measured and moving, played with respect and a firm grasp on a difficult accent. 71. She received nominations for the Golden Globe Award and the Screen Actors Guild Award. Jolie also played Grendel's mother in the epic Beowulf, 2007, created through motion capture. The film was critically and commercially well received, earning $196.4 million worldwide. 54. In 2008, Jolie was the highest paid actress, earning $15 to $20 million per film. 72-73. While other actresses had taken salary cuts during the time, Jolie's perceived box office appeal allowed her to command as much as $20 million plus a percentage. 74. She starred alongside James McAvoy and Morgan Freeman in the action film Wanted, 2008, which proved an international success, earning $341.4 million worldwide. 54. The film received predominantly favorable reviews. Writing for the New York Times, Manala Dargis noted that Jolie was perfectly cast as a super scary, seemingly amoral assassin, adding that she cuts the kind of disciplinarian figure who can bring boys of all ages to their knees or at least into their theater seats. 75. Jolie as Christine Collins on the set of Changeling in 2007. Jolie next took the lead role in Clint Eastwood's drama Changeling, 2008. 76. Chicago Tribune critic Michael Phillips noted, Jolie really shines in The Calm Before the Storm, the scenes when one patronizing male authority figure after another belittles her at their peril. 77. She received nominations for a Golden Globe Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award, the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role, and the Academy Award for Best Actress. 78, 79, 80, 81. Jolie also voiced Tigress in the DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda film series. 82. After her mother's death in 2007, Jolie appeared in fewer films, later explaining that her motivation to be an actress had stemmed from her mother's acting ambitions. 83 Her first film in 2 years was the 2010 thriller Salt, in which she starred as a CIA agent who goes on the run after she is accused of being a KGB sleeper agent. Originally written as a male character with Tom Cruise attached to star, Agent Salt underwent a gender change after a Columbia Pictures executive suggested Jolie for the role. With revenues of $293.5 million, Salt became an international success. 54 The film received generally positive reviews, with Jolie's performance in particular earning praise. 84 Empire critic William Thomas remarked, "When it comes to selling incredible, crazy, death-defying antics, Jolie has few peers in the action business." 85 Jolie starred opposite Johnny Depp in the thriller The Tourist, 2010. The film was a critical failure. 86 Roger Ebert defended Jolie's performance, stating that she does her darndest and plays her femme fatale with flat-out, drop-dead sexuality. 87 Despite commercially underperforming in the US, the film succeeded at the international box office. 88 Cementing Jolie's appeal to international audiences. 89 She received a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Comedy or Musical nomination for her performance, which prompted speculation that it had been given merely to ensure her high-profile presence at the awards ceremony. 78-90 Expansion to directing, 2011 to 2017. Jolie at the 2011 Cannes Film Festival. After directing the documentary A Place in Time, 2007, which was distributed through the National Education Association. 91 Jolie made her feature directorial debut with In the Land of Blood and Honey, 2011, a love story between a Serb soldier and a Bosniak prisoner, set during the 1992-95 Bosnian War. She conceived the film to rekindle attention for the survivors, after twice visiting Bosnia and Herzegovina in her role as an UNRWA Goodwill Ambassador. 92 To ensure authenticity, she cast only actors from the former Yugoslavia, including stars Goran Kostic and Zana Marjanovic, and incorporated their wartime experiences into her screenplay. 93 Upon release, the film received mixed reviews. Todd McCarthy of The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "Jolie deserves significant credit for creating such a powerfully oppressive atmosphere and staging the ghastly events so credibly, even if it is these very strengths that will make people not want to watch what's on screen." 94. The film was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and Jolie was named an honorary citizen of Sarajevo for raising awareness of the war. 95. After a 3.5-year absence from the screen, Jolie starred in Maleficent, 2014, a live-action reimagining of Disney's 1959 animation Sleeping Beauty. Critical reception was mixed, but Jolie's performance in the titular role was singled out for praise. 96 The Hollywood Reporter critic Sherry Linden found her to be the heart and soul of the film, adding that she doesn't chew the estimable scenery in Maleficent, she infuses it, wielding a magnetic and effortless power. 97. In its opening weekend, Maleficent earned nearly $70 million at the North American box office and over $100 million in other markets, marking Jolie's appeal to audiences of all demographics in both action and fantasy films, genres usually dominated by male actors. 98 The film went on to gross $757.8 million worldwide, becoming the fourth highest grossing film of the year and Jolie's highest grossing film ever. 54.99 Jolie next completed her second directorial venture, Unbroken, 2014, a film about Louis Zamperini, 1917-2014, a former Olympic track star and World War II soldier who survived a plane crash and spent 2 years in a Japanese prisoner of war camp. She also served as producer under her Jolie Pye banner. 100 Based on Laura Hillenbrand's book Unbroken, a World War II story of survival, resilience, and redemption, the film was scripted by the Coen brothers and starred Jack O'Connell. 101 After a positive early reception, Unbroken was considered a likely Best Picture and Best Director contender 101-102, but it ultimately received mixed reviews and little award recognition 103, though it was named one of the best films of the year by the National Board of Review and the American Film Institute. 104-105 Variety magazine's Justin Chang noted the film's impeccable craftsmanship and sober restraint, but deemed it an extraordinary story told in dutiful, unexceptional terms. 103-106. Financially, Unbroken was successful at the box office worldwide. 107. Jolie promoting Eternals at the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. Jolie's next directorial effort was the marital drama By the Sea, 2015, in which she starred opposite her husband, Brad Pitt, marking their first collaboration since 2005's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Based on her screenplay, the film was a deeply personal project for Jolie, who drew inspiration from her own mother's life. Critics, however, dismissed it as a vanity project, as part of an overall poor reception. 108-109 Writing for the Washington Post, Stephanie Mary noted its dearth of genuine emotion, stating, "By the Sea is dazzlingly gorgeous, as are its stars. But peeling back layer upon layer of exquisite ennui reveals nothing but emptiness, sprinkled with stilted sentiments." 110. Despite starring two of Hollywood's leading actors, the film received only a limited release. 108. As Jolie preferred to dedicate herself to her humanitarian work, her cinematic output remained infrequent. First They Killed My Father, 2017, a drama set during Cambodia's Khmer Rouge era, again enabled her to combine both interests. In addition to directing the film, she co-wrote the screenplay with her longtime friend Lung Leung, whose memoirs about the regime's child labor camps served as its source material. Intended primarily for a Cambodian audience, the film was produced directly for Netflix, which allowed for the use of an exclusively Khmer cast and script. 111 Labeling Jolie as a skilled and sensitive filmmaker, Rafer Guzman of Newsday commended her for convincingly depicting the illogical hell of the Khmer Rouge era. 112 It received nominations for the Golden Globe Award for Best Foreign Language Film and BAFTA Award for Best Film Not in the English Language. 113-114. Limited work and varying critical reception, 2019, present. Jolie in 2024. Jolie reprised the role of Maleficent in the Disney fantasy sequel Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, 2019, which received mixed reviews from critics but performed moderately well commercially, with a global gross of $490 million. 115, 116, 117 The following year, she appeared alongside David Oyelowo as grieving parents to the title characters of Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan in the fantasy film Come Away. 118 Jolie starred as a smoke jumper in Taylor Sheridan's action thriller Those Who Wish Me Dead. The film was released in May 2021, garnering moderate reviews. 119-120 The Independent's Clarice Luffrey wrote Jolie's bare-knuckled performance easily outclasses the film that contains it. 121 Jolie next played Thena, a warrior with post-traumatic stress disorder, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero film Eternals. Released in November 2021, the film generated divergent responses from audiences and critics. 122-123 Reviewing the film for The Washington Post, Anne Hornaday highlighted the touching naivete in Jolie's portrayal. 124. Jolie was a producer on the musical The Outsiders after it transferred to Broadway in 2024. 125 and won the Tony Award for Best Musical. 126 She wrote, produced, and directed the 2024 war drama Without Blood, based on the novel by Alessandro Baricco, starring Salma Hayek and Demian Bichir. 127 Jolie also starred in Pablo Larraín's biographical film about the final days of opera singer Maria Callas, titled Maria, which premiered at the 81st Venice International Film Festival. 128 terming it a career best performance, Tom Rees-Lafley of RoachRebert.com opined, in a queenly performance of poise and mystique, Angelina Jolie plays callous with an ethereal presence, grasping the intense grief of the once-in-a-generation singer who's been losing her voice. 129. She received another Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress for her performance. 130. Humanitarian work. UNRWA ambassadorship. We cannot close ourselves off to information and ignore the fact that millions of people are out there suffering. I honestly want to help. I don't believe I feel differently from other people. I think we all want justice and equality, a chance for a life with meaning. All of us would like to believe that if we were in a bad situation someone would help us. Jolie on her motives for joining UNRWA in 2001. 131. Jolie first witnessed the effects of a humanitarian crisis while filming Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, in war-torn Cambodia, an experience she later credited with having brought her a greater understanding of the world. 132. Upon her return home, Jolie contacted the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNRWA, for information on international trouble spots. 131. To learn more about the conditions in these areas, she began visiting refugee camps around the world. 24. In February 2001, she went on her first field visit, an 18-day mission to Sierra Leone and Tanzania. She later expressed her shock at what she had witnessed. 131. In the following months, Jolie returned to Cambodia for 2 weeks and met with Afghan refugees in Pakistan, where she donated $1 million in response to an international UNRWA emergency appeal. 133. 134. The largest donation UNRWA had ever received from a private individual. 135. She covered all costs related to her missions and shared the same rudimentary working and living conditions as UNRWA field staff on all of her visits. 131. Jolie was named a UNRWA Goodwill Ambassador at UNRWA headquarters in Geneva on August 27, 2001. 136. Jolie and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice at a UNRWA celebration of World Refugee Day in June 2005. Jolie is seen during her visit to war-ravaged Jaffna and other parts of Northern Province, Sri Lanka as the Goodwill Ambassador for UNRWA in 2003. Over the next decade, she went on more than 40 field missions, meeting with refugees and internally displaced persons in over 30 countries. 137. In 2002, when asked what she hoped to accomplish, she stated, "Awareness of the plight of these people. I think they should be commended for what they have survived, not looked down upon." 133. To that end, her 2001-02 field visits were chronicled in her book Notes from My Travels, which was published in October 2003 in conjunction with the release of her humanitarian drama Beyond Borders. Jolie aimed to visit what she termed forgotten emergencies, crises that media attention had shifted away from. 138. She became noted for traveling to war zones. 139. Such as Sudan's Darfur region during the Darfur conflict. 140. The Syrian-Iraqi border during the Second Gulf War. 141. Where she met privately with U.S. troops and other multinational forces. 142. And the Afghan capital Kabul during the war in Afghanistan, where 3 aid workers were murdered in the midst of her first visit. 139. To aid her travels, she started to take flying lessons in 2004 with the aim of ferrying aid workers and food supplies around the world. Jolie acquired a pilot license in 2004. As of May 2014, she owns a Cirrus SR-22 aircraft and a Cessna 208 Caravan aircraft. 143. 144. On April 17, 2012, after more than a decade of service as an UNRWA Goodwill Ambassador, Jolie was promoted to the rank of Special Envoy to High Commissioner Antonio Guterres, the first to take on such a position within the organization. In her expanded role, she was given authority to represent Guterres and UNRWA at the diplomatic level, with a focus on major refugee crises. 145 In the months following her promotion, she made her first visit as special envoy, her third overall, to Ecuador, where she met with Colombian refugees. 146 And she accompanied Guterres on a week-long tour of Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, and Iraq, to assess the situation of refugees from neighboring Syria. 147 Since then, Jolie has been on over a dozen field missions around the world to meet with refugees and undertake advocacy on their behalf. 137 148 Jolie resigned from the ambassadorship in December 2022. 149 In her announcement, she pledged to continue to advocate for refugees. 150 Conservation and Community Development. Jolie at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in January 2005. In an effort to connect her Cambodian-born adopted son with his heritage, Jolie purchased a house in his country of birth in 2003. The traditional home sat on 39 hectares in the northwestern province Battambang, adjacent to Samlaut National Park in the Cardamom Mountains, which had become infiltrated with poachers who threatened endangered species. She purchased the park's 60,000 hectares and turned the area into a wildlife reserve named for her son, the Maddox Jolie Project. 151 In November 2006, Jolie expanded the scope of the project, renamed the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation, MJP, to create Asia's first Millennium Village, in accordance with UN Development Goals. 152 She was inspired by a meeting with the founder of Millennium Promise, noted economist Jeffrey Sachs, at the World Economic Forum in Davos. 151 Where she was an invited speaker in 2005 and 2006. Together they filmed a 2005 MTV special, The Diary of Angelina Jolie and Dr. Jeffrey Sachs in Africa, which followed them on a trip to a Millennium Village in western Kenya. By mid-2007, some 6,000 villagers and 72 employees, some of them former poachers employed as rangers, lived and worked at MJP, in 10 villages previously isolated from one another. The compound includes schools, roads, and a soy milk factory, all funded by Jolie. Her home functions as the MJP field headquarters. 151 After filming Beyond Borders, 2003, in Namibia, Jolie became patron of the Harness Wildlife Foundation, a wildlife orphanage and medical center in the Kalahari Desert. She first visited the Harness farm during production of the film, which features vultures rescued by the foundation. 153 In December 2010, Jolie and her partner, Brad Pitt, established the Shiloh Jolie Pitt Foundation to support conservation work by the Nankyos Wildlife Sanctuary, a nature reserve also located in the Kalahari. 154 In name of their Namibian-born daughter, they have funded large animal conservation projects as well as a free health clinic, housing, and a school for the San Bushman community at Nankyos. 155 156 157 Jolie and Pitt support other causes through the Jolie Pitt Foundation, established in September 2006. 158 Child immigration and education. Jolie has pushed for legislation to aid child immigrants and other vulnerable children in both the U.S. and developing nations, including the Unaccompanied Alien Child Protection Act of 2005. 136 159 She lobbied for humanitarian interests in the U.S. Capitol from 2003 onwards, explaining, "As much as I would love to never have to visit Washington, that's the way to move the ball." 136 Since October 2008, she has co-chaired Kids in Need of Defense, KIND, a network of leading U.S. law firms that provide free legal aid to unaccompanied minors in immigration proceedings across the U.S. 160 Founded in a collaboration between Jolie and the Microsoft Corporation, by 2013, KIND had become the principal provider of pro bono lawyers for immigrant children. 161 Jolie had previously, from 2005 to 2007, funded the launch of a similar initiative, the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants National Center for Refugee and Immigrant Children. 159-162. Jolie on the cover of Ms. Magazine in 2015, in which she discusses child marriage. Jolie has also advocated for children's education. Since its founding at the Clinton Global Initiative's annual meeting in September 2007, she has co-chaired the Education Partnership for Children of Conflict, which provides policy and funding to education programs for children in conflict-affected regions. 163. In its first year, the partnership supported education projects for Iraqi refugee children, youth affected by the Darfur conflict, and girls in rural Afghanistan, among other affected groups. 163. The partnership has worked closely with the Council on Foreign Relations Center for Universal Education, founded by the partnership's co-chair, noted economist Gene Sperling, to establish education policies, which resulted in recommendations made to UN agencies, G8 development agencies, and the World Bank. 164. Since April 2013, all proceeds from Jolie's high-end jewelry collection, Style of Jolie, have benefited the partnership's work. 165. Jolie additionally launched the Malala Fund, a grant system established by Pakistani education activist Malala Yousafzai, at the 2013 Women in the World Summit. 166. She personally contributed over $200,000 to the cause. 167. Jolie has funded a school and boarding facility for girls at Kakuma refugee camp in northwestern Kenya. 168. Which opened in 2005. 169. And two primary schools for girls in the returnee settlements Tangi and Kalegudar in eastern Afghanistan, which opened in March 2010 and November 2012 respectively. 171. In addition to the facilities at the Millennium Village she established in Cambodia, Jolie had built at least 10 other schools in the country by 2005. 172. In February 2006, she opened the Maddox Shivan Children's Center, a medical and educational facility for children affected by HIV, in the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh. 152. In Sabeta, Ethiopia, the birthplace of her eldest daughter, she funds a sister facility, the Zahara Children's Center, which treats and educates children who have HIV or tuberculosis. Both centers are run by the Global Health Committee. 173. 174. Jolie is the executive producer of the BBC program My World, which aims to teach teenagers how to think critically about what they read and how to tell high-quality journalism from bad. 175. She and Amnesty International released a children's rights book titled Know Your Rights and Claim Them on September 2, 2021. She co-authored the book with British human rights lawyer Geraldine Van Buren. 176. Human rights and women's rights. Jolie at the launch of the Preventing Sexual Violence Initiative in 2012. After Jolie joined the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, in June 2007. 177. She hosted a symposium on international law and justice at CFR headquarters and funded several CFR special reports, including Intervention to Stop Genocide and Mass Atrocities. 148. 160. In January 2011, she established the Jolie Legal Fellowship. 178. A network of lawyers and attorneys who are sponsored to advocate the development of human rights in their countries. 179. Its member attorneys, called Jolie Legal Fellows, have facilitated child protection efforts in Haiti in the wake of the 2010 earthquake and promoted the development of an inclusive democratic process in Libya following the 2011 revolution. 178. 179. 180. Jolie has fronted a campaign against sexual violence in military conflict zones by the UK government, which made the issue a priority of its 2013 G8 presidency. In May 2012, she launched the Preventing Sexual Violence Initiative, PSVI, with Foreign Secretary William Hague. 181 who was inspired to campaign on the issue by her Bosnian war drama In the Land of Blood and Honey, 2011. 182 PSVI was established to complement wider UK government work by raising awareness and promoting international cooperation. 181 Jolie spoke on the subject at the G8 Foreign Ministers meeting. 183 where the attending nations adopted a historic declaration. 181 and before the UN Security Council, which responded by adopting its broadest resolution on the issue to date. 184 in June 2014, she co-chaired the 4-day Global Summit to End Sexual Violence in Conflict, the largest ever meeting on the subject. 185 which resulted in a protocol endorsed by 151 nations. 186. Through her work on the PSVI, Jolie met foreign policy experts Chloe Dalton and Armin Kahilik, who served as special advisors to Hague. Their collaboration resulted in the 2015 founding of Jolie Pitt Dalton Helik, a partnership dedicated to women's rights and international justice, among other causes. 187 in May 2016, Jolie was appointed a visiting professor at the London School of Economics to contribute to a postgraduate degree program at the university's Centre on Women, Peace, and Security. 188 which she had launched with Hague the previous year. 186 in February 2022, Jolie with her daughter Zahara visited Washington, D.C. for the Senate introduction of the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, a bill designed to prevent and respond to domestic violence, sexual assault, dating violence, and stalking. 189 she worked closely with the bill's sponsors and advocates. 189 she's also an advocate for Cadence Law. A law focuses on trauma-informed court processes, legal standards, and judicial training that minimizes the risk of harm to children. 190 Jolie is an advocate for the passage of the Justice for All Reauthorization Act of 2022, a law created to improve crime victims' right to evidence and agency reports, forensic science, and the rape kit backlog, and address racial disparities in wrongful convictions in America's criminal legal system. 191. In September 2020, Jolie made a donation to 2 young boys who were running a lemonade stand in London to raise money for the people of Yemen, as the country was on the brink of humanitarian crisis caused by the Saudi-led coalition and Houthi rebels. 192 In March 2022, a month into the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Jolie visited Ukrainian children at the Vatican Children's Hospital Bambino Gesù. According to the clinic, Jolie commented, "I am praying for an end to the war. This is the only way to end the suffering and the flight from the conflict zone. It's terrifying to see children paying the price in lost lives, compromised health, and trauma." 193. In May 2022, Jolie visited Lviv, Ukraine to meet with more displaced and hospitalized children. 194. 195. In 2023, Jolie voiced strong criticism of Israel for its military actions in Gaza during the 2023 Israel-Hamas war. In a statement posted on Instagram, Jolie condemned what she described as the deliberate bombing of a trapped population in the densely populated Palestinian enclave. She accused global leaders of complicity in these crimes for their silence and demanded a humanitarian ceasefire. 196. 197. Recognition and honors. Jolie at the Global Summit to End Sexual Violence in Conflict in 2014. Jolie has received wide recognition for her humanitarian work. In August 2002, she received the inaugural Humanitarian Award from the Church World Services Immigration and Refugee Program 198, and in October 2003, she was the first recipient of the Citizen of the World Award by the United Nations Correspondents Association. 199 She was awarded the Global Humanitarian Award by the UNA USA in October 2005. 200, and she received the Freedom Award from the International Rescue Committee in November 2007. 201 In October 2011, UN High Commissioner for Refugees Antonio Guterres presented Jolie with a gold pin reserved for the most long-serving staff, in recognition of her decade as an UNRWA Goodwill Ambassador. 202. In November 2013, Jolie received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, an honorary Academy Award, from the Board of Governors of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. 203-204 In June 2014, she was appointed an honorary Dame Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George, DCMG, for her services to the UK's foreign policy and campaigning to end sexual violence in war zones. 205-206 Queen Elizabeth II presented Jolie with the insignia of her honorary damehood during a private ceremony the following October. 207. Personal life. Relationships and marriages. Jolie had a serious boyfriend for 2 years from the age of 14. Her mother allowed them to live together in her home, of which Jolie later said, "I was either going to be reckless on the streets with my boyfriend or he was going to be with me in my bedroom with my mom in the next room. She made the choice, and because of it, I continued to go to school every morning and explored my first relationship in a safe way." 208. She has compared the relationship to a marriage in its emotional intensity, and said that the breakup compelled her to dedicate herself to her acting career at age 16. 209. During filming of Hackers, 1995, Jolie had a romance with actor Johnny Lee Miller, her first lover since the relationship in her early teens. 18 They were not in touch for months after production ended, but eventually reconnected and married soon after in March 1996. She attended her wedding in black rubber pants and a white t-shirt, upon which she had written the groom's name in her blood. 210 The relationship ended the following year, with Jolie saying her busy work schedule kept them apart too often. 211 Jolie remained on good terms with Miller, whom she called a solid man and a solid friend. 23 Their divorce, initiated by Jolie in February 1999, was finalized shortly before she remarried the next year. 212-213. Prior to her marriage to Miller, Jolie began a relationship with model and actress Jenny Shimizu on the set of Foxfire, 1996. In 1997, she said, "I would probably have married Jenny if I hadn't married my husband. I fell in love with her the first second I saw her." 214. According to Shimizu, their relationship lasted several years and continued even while Jolie was romantically involved with other people. 215 In a 1997 interview with the lesbian magazine Girlfriends, she was asked how she felt about being a sex symbol to both men and women. She responded, "It's great because I love men and women." 214. In 2003, when asked if she was bisexual, Jolie answered, "Of course. If I fell in love with a woman tomorrow, would I feel that it's okay to want to kiss and touch her? If I fell in love with her? Absolutely. Yes." 216. Jolie with her then partner Brad Pitt at the 81st Academy Awards in 2009, where they each received an Academy Award nomination. After a 2-month courtship, Jolie married actor Billy Bob Thornton on May 5, 2000, in Las Vegas. They had met on the set of Pushing Tin, 1999, but did not pursue a relationship at that time, as Thornton was engaged to actress Laura Dern, while Jolie was reportedly dating actor Timothy Hutton, her co-star in Playing God, 1997. 213 As a result of their frequent public declarations of passion and gestures of love, most famously wearing one another's blood in vials around their necks, their marriage became a favorite topic of the entertainment media. 217 Jolie and Thornton announced the adoption of a child from Cambodia in March 2002 but abruptly separated 3 months later. 218 Thornton filed for divorce, saying their lifestyles were too different. 219 Their divorce was finalized on May 27, 2003. When asked about the sudden dissolution of their marriage, Jolie stated, "It took me by surprise, too, because overnight, we totally changed. I think one day we had just nothing in common. And it's scary, but I think it can happen when you get involved and you don't know yourself yet. 24. Jolie was involved in a prominent scandal when she was accused of causing the divorce of actors Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston in October 2005, who had been living apart since January 2005. 220. She said she fell in love with Pitt during the filming of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, but dismissed allegations of an affair. 221. Saying, "To be intimate with a married man, when my own father cheated on my mother, is not something I could forgive. I could not look at myself in the morning if I did that. I wouldn't be attracted to a man who would cheat on his wife." 216. Neither Jolie nor Pitt would publicly comment on the nature of their relationship until January 2006, when she confirmed they were expecting their first child together. 222. During their 12-year relationship, the couple were dubbed Brangelina, a portmanteau coined by the media, and were the subject of worldwide media coverage. 223. They became known as one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. 224. Their family grew to include 6 children, 3 of whom were adopted, before they announced their engagement in April 2012. 225. Jolie and Pitt were legally married on August 14, 2014, and had their wedding in a private ceremony at the Château Miraval, France on August 23, 2014. 226. She subsequently took the name Angelina Jolie Pitt. After 2 years of marriage, the couple separated on September 15, 2016. On September 19, Jolie filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. 227. They were declared legally single on April 12, 2019. 228. After Pitt sued Jolie for selling her share of a winery they owned to a third party, she filed a countersuit, in which she alleged that he physically and verbally abused her and their children on a plane in 2016. 229. Children. Jolie has 6 children, 3 were adopted internationally, while 3 are biological. On March 10, 2002, Jolie adopted her first child, 237-month-old Maddox Shivan 31, from an orphanage in Battambang, Cambodia. 231. He was born on August 5, 2001. 232. In a local village. 23. After twice visiting Cambodia, while filming Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, and on an Ungerfield mission, Jolie returned in November 2001 with her then-husband, Billy Bob Thornton, where they met and subsequently applied to adopt Maddox. 233. The adoption process was halted the following month when the U.S. government banned adoptions from Cambodia amid allegations of child trafficking. 233. Although Jolie's adoption facilitator was later convicted of visa fraud and money laundering, her adoption of Maddox was deemed lawful. 234. Once the process was finalized, she took custody of Maddox in Namibia, where she was filming Beyond Borders, 2003. 233. Jolie and Thornton announced the adoption together, but she adopted Maddox alone. 218. 235. Becoming a single parent following her separation from Thornton 3 months later. 218. 236. Jolie adopted her second child, 6-month-old Zahara Marley, from an orphanage in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on July 6, 2005. 237. 238. Zahara was born on January 8, 2005, in Aweza. 239. 240. Jolie initially believed Zahara to be an AIDS orphan. 241. Based on official testimony from her grandmother. 242. But Zahara's birth mother later came forward in the media. She explained that she had abandoned her family when Zahara became sick, and said she thought Zahara was very fortunate to have been adopted by Jolie. 239. Jolie was accompanied by her then partner, Brad Pitt, when she traveled to Ethiopia to take custody of Zahara. 237 She later indicated that they had together made the decision to adopt from Ethiopia. 243 Having first visited the country earlier that year. 244 After Pitt announced his intention to adopt her children. 245 She filed a petition to legally change their surname from Jolie to Jolie Pitt, which was granted on January 19, 2006. 240 Pitt adopted Maddox and Zahara soon after. 246 A pregnant Jolie attending the premiere of Changeling with director Clint Eastwood at the 2008 Cannes Film Festival. In an attempt to avoid the unprecedented media frenzy surrounding their relationship, Jolie and Pitt traveled to Namibia for the birth of their first biological child. 223 On May 27, 2006, she gave birth to Shiloh Nouvel, in Swakopmund. 247 Shiloh's middle name is homage to French architect Jean Nouvel. 248 During labor, Jolie had fits of hysteric laughter due to the administration of morphine. 249 They sold the first pictures of Shiloh through the distributor Getty Images with the aim of benefiting charity, rather than allowing paparazzi to take the photographs. 246 People and Hello magazines purchased the North American and British rights to the images for $4.10 and $3.5 million, respectively, a record in celebrity photojournalism at that time. 250 With all proceeds donated to UNICEF. 251 On March 15, 2007, Jolie adopted her fourth child, 3-year-old Pax Tien, from an orphanage in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. 252 Pax had been born on November 29, 2003, in HCMC, and had been abandoned soon after birth. 253 After visiting the orphanage with Pitt in November 2006, Jolie applied for adoption as a single parent, because Vietnam's adoption regulations did not allow unmarried couples to co-adopt. 252 After their return to the United States, she petitioned the court to change Pax Tien's surname from Jolie to Jolie Pitt, which was approved on May 31. 254 Pitt subsequently adopted Pax on February 21, 2008. 255 At the 2008 Cannes Film Festival, Jolie confirmed that she was expecting twins. During the 2 weeks she spent in a seaside hospital in Nice, France, reporters and photographers camped on the promenade outside it. 256 She gave birth in July 2008 to Knox Leon Jolie Pitt and Vivienne Markellen Jolie Pitt. They were born in Nice, France. The first pictures of the twins were jointly sold to People and Hello for a reported $14 million, the most expensive celebrity photographs ever taken. All proceeds were donated to the Jolie Pitt Foundation. 257 Cambodian nationality. In 2004, then Prime Minister Hun Sen offered the American actress Cambodian nationality due to her humanitarian work in the country. 258 Cambodia holds special significance for Jolie as the birthplace of her adopted son. 259 Maddox Shivan. 260 In 2005, the citizenship process was completed when King Norodom Sihamoni granted Jolie Cambodian citizenship through a royal decree. 2. Cancer prevention treatment. On February 16, 2013, at age 37, Jolie underwent a preventive double mastectomy after learning she had an 87% risk of developing breast cancer due to a defective BRCA1 gene. 261 Her maternal family history warranted genetic testing for BRCA mutations. Her mother had breast cancer and died of ovarian cancer, while her grandmother died of ovarian cancer. 262 263 Her aunt, who had the same BRCA1 defect, died of breast cancer 3 months after Jolie's operation. 264 Following the mastectomy, which lowered her chances of developing breast cancer to under 5%, Jolie had reconstructive surgery involving implants and allografts, transplantations from a donor. 262 2 years later, In March 2015, after annual test results indicated possible signs of early ovarian cancer, she underwent a preventive salpingo-oophorectomy, removal of an ovary and its fallopian tube, as she had a 50% risk of developing ovarian cancer due to the same genetic anomaly. Despite hormone replacement therapy, the surgery brought on premature menopause. 263. I choose not to keep my story private because there are many women who do not know that they might be living under the shadow of cancer. It is my hope that they, too, will be able to get gene tested, and that if they have a high risk they, too, will know that they have strong options. Jolie on her reasons for speaking out about her mastectomy. 261. After completing each operation, Jolie discussed her mastectomy and oophorectomy in op-eds published by the New York Times, with the aim of helping other women make informed health choices. She detailed her diagnosis, surgeries, and personal experiences, and described her decision to undergo preventive surgery as a proactive measure for the sake of her 6 children. 261, 263, 265. Jolie further wrote, "On a personal note, I do not feel any less of a woman. I feel empowered that I made a strong choice that in no way diminishes my femininity." 261. Jolie's announcement of her mastectomy attracted widespread publicity and discussion on BRCA mutations and genetic testing. 266. Her decision was met with praise from various public figures. 267. While health campaigners welcomed her raising awareness of the options available to at-risk women. 268. Dubbed the Angelina effect by a Time cover story. 269. Jolie's influence led to a global and long-lasting increase in BRCA gene testing. 270. The number of referrals tripled in Australia and doubled in the United Kingdom, parts of Canada, and India. 270, 271, 272, as well as significantly increased in other European countries and the United States. 273, 274, 275. Researchers in Canada and the United Kingdom found that despite the large increase, the percentage of mutation carriers remained the same, meaning Jolie's message had reached those most at risk. 270. In her first op-ed, Jolie had advocated for wider accessibility of BRCA gene testing and acknowledged the high costs. 276, which were greatly reduced after a 2013 U.S. Supreme Court ruling invalidated BRCA gene patents held by Myriad Genetics. 277, 278. Reception. Public image. Jolie at the 2007 Cannes Film Festival. As the daughter of actor Jon Voight, Jolie appeared in the media from an early age. 30. Early in her own career, she earned a reputation as a wild child, which contributed to her success in the late 1990s and early 2000s. 279. Celebrity profiles routinely covered her fascination with blood and knives, experiences with drugs, and her sex life, particularly her bisexuality and interest in sadomasochism. 279, 280. In 2000, when asked about her outspokenness, she stated, "I say things that other people might go through. That's what artists should do, throw things out there and not be perfect and not have answers for anything and see if people understand." 280. Another contributing factor to her controversial image were tabloid rumors of incest that emerged when Jolie, upon winning her Oscar for Girl, Interrupted, kissed her brother on the lips and said, "I'm so in love with my brother right now." 18. She dismissed the rumors, saying, "It was disappointing that something so beautiful and pure could be turned into a circus." 281. And explained that, as children of divorced parents, she and James relied on one another for emotional support. 18. Jolie's reputation started to change positively after she, at age 26, became a Goodwill ambassador for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, later commenting, "In my early 20s I was fighting with myself. Now I take that punk in me to Washington, and I fight for something important." 136. Owing to her extensive activism, Her Q-score, a marketing industry measure of celebrities' likability, nearly doubled to 25 between 2000 and 2006. 136. Her recognizability grew accordingly. By 2006, she was familiar to 81% of Americans, compared to 31% in 2000. 136. She became noted for her ability to positively influence her public image through the media, without employing a publicist or an agent. 282. Her Q-score remained above average even when, in 2005, she was accused of ending Brad Pitt's marriage to Jennifer Aniston. 283. At which point her public persona became an unlikely combination of alleged homewrecker, mother, sex symbol, and humanitarian. 284. Jolie was found to be the most admired woman in the world in global surveys conducted by YouGov in 2015 and 2016. 285. 286. Jolie's general influence and wealth are extensively documented. In a 2006 global industry survey by AC Nielsen in 42 international markets, Jolie, together with Pitt, was found to be the favorite celebrity endorser for brands and products worldwide. 287. Jolie was the face of St. John and Shiseido from 2006 to 2008, and a decade later became a spokesmodel for Guerlain. Her 2011 endorsement deal with Louis Vuitton, reportedly worth $10 million, was a record for a single advertising campaign. 288. 289. Jolie was among the Time 100, a list of the most influential people in the world as published by Time, in 2006 and 2008. 290. 291. She was named the world's most powerful celebrity in Forbes' Celebrity 100 issue in 2009, and, though ranked lower overall, was listed as the most powerful actress from 2006 to 2008 and 2011 to 2013. 292. 293. 294. 295. 296. 297. 298. Forbes additionally cited her as Hollywood's highest paid actress in 2009, 2011, and 2013, with estimated annual earnings of $27 million, $30 million, and $33 million respectively. 89. 299. 300. Appearance. Jolie at the premiere of A Mighty Heart in 2007, several of her tattoos are visible. Jolie's public image is strongly tied to her noted beauty and sex appeal. 301. Many media outlets, including Vogue, People, and Vanity Fair, have cited her as the world's most beautiful woman, while others such as Esquire, FHM, and Empire have named her the sexiest woman alive. Both titles have often been based on public polls in which Jolie places far ahead of other celebrity women. 302. Her most recognizable physical features are her many tattoos, eyes, and in particular her full lips, which the New York Times considered as defining a feature as Kirk Douglas chin or Bette Davis eyes. 303. Among her estimated 20 tattoos are the Latin proverb quod me nutrit me destruit, what nourishes me destroys me, the quote A Prayer for the Wild at Heart, Kept in Cages, From Stairs to the Roof by Tennessee Williams, 4 Buddhist Sanskrit prayers of protection 304. 305. A 12-inch tiger, and geographical coordinates of where she first met her adopted children. 306. Over time, she has covered or lasered several of her tattoos, including Billy Bob, the name of her second husband. 304. Professionally, Jolie's status as a sex symbol has been considered both an asset and a hindrance. Some of her most commercially successful films, including Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, and Beowulf, 2007, overtly relied at least in part on her sex appeal. 307. 308. With Empire stating that her pneumatic figure, feline eyes, and bee-stung lips have greatly contributed to her appeal to audiences. 309. Conversely, Salon writer Alan Barra agreed with critics who suggested that Jolie's dark and intense sexuality has limited her in the types of roles she can be cast in. thus rendering her unconvincing in many conventional women's roles. 61 While Clint Eastwood, who directed her Oscar-nominated performance in Changeling, 2008, opined that having the most beautiful face on the planet sometimes harmed her dramatic credibility with audiences. 310. Jolie in 2024. Jolie's appearance has been credited with influencing popular culture at large. In 2002, after Ellen founder Sarah Warren observed that many women of all sexual orientations had publicly expressed their attraction to Jolie, which she considered a new development in American culture, adding that there are many beautiful women in Hollywood, and few generate the same kind of overwhelming interest across genders and sexual orientations that she does. 311 Jolie's physical attributes became highly sought after among Western women seeking cosmetic surgery. By 2007, she was considered the gold standard of beauty. 312 with her full lips remaining the most imitated celebrity feature well into the 2010s. 313 After a 2011 repeat survey by Allure found that Jolie most represented the American beauty ideal, compared to model Christy Brinkley in 1991, writer Elizabeth Angel credited society with having branched out beyond the Barbie doll ideal and embraced something quite different. 314 315 In 2013, Jeffrey Kluger of Time agreed that Jolie has for many years symbolized the feminine ideal, and opined that her frank discussion of her double mastectomy redefined beauty. 269. Jolie is considered a style icon and trendsetter for celebrity fashion. 316 317 318 319 320 She began making red carpet appearances at age 10. 321 In the 1990s, she established an enduring partnership with Versace. 322 In her early film career, she became known for wearing gothic styles and leather, coquette looks. 321 323 324 Her style was seen as dark, vampish, dramatic, and alluring. 322 325 Her sequined Randolph Duke gown at the 1999 Golden Globe Awards was regarded as her fashion debut. 326 Jolie wore a white satin dress by Mark Bower to the 76th Academy Awards, which drew critical praise and comparisons to the fashion of several classic film stars. 327 328 329 As she transitioned to directorial and humanitarian work, her style grew more sophisticated, minimalist, and glamorous, with looks associated with old Hollywood. 330 323 331 321 In the 2010s, Jolie wore satin gowns, diamond jewelry, and Grecian silhouettes. 322 332 She attended the 84th Academy Awards in a black Versace gown, which has been deemed one of the most significant gowns in fashion history and pop culture, with Jolie's posing becoming the subject of internet memes. 333 334 In the 2020s, Jolie adopted more sustainable fashion. 322 335 Film credits and accolades. Main articles: Angelina Jolie filmography and list of awards and nominations received by Angelina Jolie. Jolie has appeared in over 30 film productions since 1982. 336 337 According to the review aggregator site Rotten Tomatoes and infotainment website Screen Rant, her most critically acclaimed and commercially successful films are Playing by Heart, 1998, Gone in 60 Seconds, 2000, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, 2003, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, 2004, Alexander, 2004, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, Beowulf, 2007, A Mighty Heart, 2007, Changeling, 2008, Kung Fu Panda, 2008, Wanted, 2008, Salt, 2010, The Tourist, 2010, Maleficent, 2014, and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, 2019. 339 Her television projects comprise the miniseries True Women, 1997, and the films George Wallace, 1997, and Gia, 1998. 338. Jolie has directed a number of films, such as In the Land of Blood and Honey, 2011, Unbroken, 2014, By the Sea, 2015, First They Killed My Father, 2017, and Without Blood, 2024. 338. Jolie has received several awards including an Academy Award, 3 Golden Globe Awards, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards and a Tony Award, as well as nominations for 2 British Academy Film Awards and 2 Primetime Emmy Awards. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences honored her with the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award in 2013. Ethan Green Hawke, born November 6, 1970, is an American actor, author, and film director. He made his film debut in Explorers, 1985, before making a breakthrough performance in Dead Poets Society, 1989. Hawke starred alongside Julie Delpy in Richard Linklater's Before trilogy from 1995 to 2013. Hawke received 2 nominations for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Training Day, 2001, and Boyhood, 2014, and 2 for Best Adapted Screenplay for co-writing Before Sunset, 2004, and Before Midnight, 2013. Other notable roles include In Reality Bites, 1994, Gattaca, 1997, Great Expectations, 1998, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, 2007, Maggie's Plan, 2015, First Reformed, 2017, The Black Phone, 2021, and The Northman, 2022. Hawke directed the narrative films Chelsea Walls, 2001, The Hottest State, 2006, and Blaze, 2018, as well as the documentary Seymour, An Introduction, 2014. He created, co-wrote and starred as John Brown in the Showtime limited series The Good Lord Bird, 2020, and directed the HBO Max documentary series The Last Movie Stars, 2022. He starred in the Marvel television miniseries Moon Knight, 2022, as Arthur Harrow. In addition to his film work, Hawke has appeared in many theater productions. He made his Broadway debut in 1992 in Anton Chekhov's The Seagull, and was nominated for a Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Play in 2007 for his performance in Tom Stoppard's The Coast of Utopia. In 2010, Hawke directed Sam Shepard's A Lie of the Mind, for which he received a Drama Desk Award nomination for Outstanding Director of a Play. In 2018, he starred in the Roundabout Theatre Company's revival of Sam Shepard's play True West. Hawke has received numerous nominations, including a total of 4 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, and a Tony Award, while he has won a Daytime Emmy Award. Early life. Hawke was born on November 6, 1971 to James Hawke, an insurance actuary, and his then-wife Leslie, née Green, a charity worker. 4 Hawke's parents were high school sweethearts in Fort Worth, Texas, and married young, when Hawke's mother was 17. 5 Hawke was born a year later. Hawke's parents were both students at the University of Texas at Austin at the time of his birth. They separated and later divorced in 1974, when he was 4 years old. 6. After the separation, Hawke was raised by his mother. The two relocated several times, before settling in New York City, where Hawke attended the Packer Collegiate Institute in Brooklyn Heights. 7 Hawke's mother remarried when he was 10 and the family moved to West Windsor Township, New Jersey. 8 There, Hawke attended the public West Windsor Plainsboro High School, renamed to West Windsor Plainsboro High School South in 1997. 7 He later transferred to the Hun School of Princeton, a secondary boarding school 9 from which he graduated in 1988. 10. In high school, Hawke aspired to be a writer, but developed an interest in acting. He made his stage debut at age 13, in a production at the McCarter Theatre of George Bernard Shaw's St. Joan. 7-11 He also performed in West Windsor Plainsboro High School productions of Meet Me in St. Louis and You Can't Take It With You. 12 At the Hunt School, he took acting classes at the McCarter Theatre, located on the Princeton campus. 12 After graduation from high school, he studied acting at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, dropping out after he was cast in Dead Poets Society, 1989. 13 He enrolled in New York University's English program for 2 years, but dropped out to pursue other acting roles. 11. Career. 1980s, early years and Dead Poets Society. Hawke obtained his mother's permission to attend his first casting call at the age of 14 and secured his first film role in Joe Dante's Explorers, 1985, in which he played an alien-obsessed schoolboy alongside River Phoenix. 15 The film was favorably reviewed. 16 but had poor box office results. This failure caused Hawke to quit acting for a brief period after the film's release. 13 Hawke later described the disappointment as difficult to bear at such a young age, adding, "I would never recommend that a kid act." 13. In 1989, Hawke made his breakthrough appearance in Peter Weir's Dead Poets Society, playing one of the students taught by Robin Williams as a charismatic English teacher. 6 The Variety reviewer noted Hawke, as the painfully shy Todd, gives a haunting performance. 17. The film received considerable acclaim. 18 Winning the BAFTA Award for Best Film and an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. 1920 With revenue of $235 million worldwide, it remains Hawke's most commercially successful movie to date. 21 Hawke later described the opportunities he was offered as a result of the film's success as critical to his decision to continue acting. "I didn't want to be an actor and I went back to college. But then the film's success was so monumental that I was getting offers to be in such interesting movies and be in such interesting places, and it seemed silly to pursue anything else." 14. While filming Dead Poets Society he auditioned for what would be his next film, 1989's comedy drama Dad, where he played Ted Danson's son and Jack Lemmon's grandson. 13 Hawke's next film, 1991's White Fang, brought his first leading role. The film, an adaptation of Jack London's novel of the same name, featured Hawke as Jack Conroy, a Yukon gold hunter who befriends a wolf dog, played by Jed. According to the Oregonian, Hawke does a good job as young Jack. He makes Jack's passion for White Fang real and keeps it from being ridiculous or overly sentimental. 22. He appeared in Keith Gordon's A Midnight Clear, 1992, a well-received war film based on William Wharton's novel of the same name. 23 In the survival drama Alive, 1993, adapted from Piers Paul Reed's 1974 non-fiction book, Hawke portrayed Nando Paradu, one of the survivors of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, which crashed in the Andes. 24. 1990s, Reality Bites, and Before Sunrise. Hawke's next role was in the Generation X drama Reality Bites, 1994, in which he played Troy Dyer, a slacker who mocks the ambitions of his girlfriend, played by Winona Ryder. Film critic Roger Ebert called Hawke's performance convincing and noteworthy. Hawke captures all the right notes as the boorish Troy, and is so convincing it is worth noting that he has played quite different characters equally well in movies as different as Alive and Dead Poets Society. 25. The New York Times noted, Mr. Hawke's subtle and strong performance makes it clear that Troy feels things too deeply to risk failure and admit he's feeling anything at all. 26. The following year Hawke received critical acclaim for his performance in Richard Linklater's 1995 drama Before Sunrise. The film follows a young American man, Hawke, and a young French woman, Julie Delpy, who meet on a train and disembark in Vienna, spending the night exploring the city and getting to know one another. 27 The San Francisco Chronicle praised Hawke's and Delpy's performances. They interact so gently and simply that you feel certain that they helped write the dialogue. Each of them seems to have something personal at stake in their performances. 28. Away from acting, Hawke directed the music video for the 1994 song Stay, I Missed You, by singer-songwriter Lisa Loeb, who was a member of Hawke's theater company at the time. 29 Spin named Hawke and Loeb's video as its video of the year in 1994. 30 In a 2012 interview, Hawke said that the song, which was included in Reality Bites, is the only #1 popular song by an unsigned artist in the history of music. 31. A Caucasian male with brown hair and stubble, wearing a red shirt. Hawke at the premiere of The Hottest State in Austin, Texas, September 2007. He published his first novel in 1996, The Hottest State, about a love affair between a young actor and a singer. Hawke said of the novel, "Writing the book had to do with dropping out of college, and with being an actor. I didn't want my whole life to go by and not do anything but recite lines. I wanted to try making something else. It was definitely the scariest thing I ever did. And it was just one of the best things I ever did." 14. The book met with a mixed reception. Entertainment Weekly said that Hawke opens himself to rough literary scrutiny in The Hottest State. If Hawke is serious, he'd do well to work a while in less exposed venues. 32. The New York Times thought Hawke did a fine job of showing what it's like to be young and full of confusion, concluding that The Hottest State was ultimately a sweet love story. 33. In Andrew Niccol's science fiction film Gattaca, 1997, one of the more interesting scripts Hawke said he had read in a number of years. 34 He played the role of a man who infiltrates a society of genetically perfect humans by assuming another man's identity. Although Gattaca was not a success at the box office, 21 it drew generally favorable reviews from critics. 35 The Fort Worth Star-Telegram reviewer wrote that Hawke, building on the sympathetic but edgy presence that has served him well since his kid actor days, is most impressive. 36 In 1998, Hawke appeared alongside Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert De Niro in Great Expectations, a contemporary film adaptation of the Charles Dickens novel of the same name, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. 37 During the same year, Hawke collaborated with Linklater again on The Newton Boys, based on the true story of the Newton Gang. 38 Critical reviews for each film were mixed. 39-40 The following year, Hawke starred in Snow Falling on Cedars, based on David Gutterson's novel of the same title. 41 Set in the Pacific Northwest and featuring a love affair between a European-American man and Japanese-American woman, the film met with an unenthusiastic reception. 42 Entertainment Weekly noted, Hawke scrunches himself into such a dark knot that we have no idea who Ishmael is or why he acts as he does. 43. 2000s, Training Day, and Before Sunset. Hawke's next film role was in Michael Almerida's 2000 film Hamlet, in which he played the title character. The film transposed the famous William Shakespeare play to contemporary New York City, a technique Hawke felt made the play more accessible and vital. 44 Salon reviewer wrote, Hawke certainly isn't the greatest Hamlet of living memory, but his performance reinforces Hamlet's place as Shakespeare's greatest character. And in that sense, he more than holds his own in the long line of actors who played the part. 45. In 2001, Hawke appeared in two more Linklater movies, Waking Life and Tape, both critically praised. 46-47 In the animated Waking Life, he shared a single scene with former co-star Delpy, continuing conversations begun in Before Sunrise. 48 The real-time drama Tape, based on a play by Stephen Belber, takes place entirely in a single motel room with three characters played by Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Uma Thurman. 49 Hawke regarded Tape as his first adult performance, 50 a performance commended by Ebert for showing both physical and verbal acting mastery. 51. Hawke's next role, and one for which he received substantial critical acclaim, came in Training Day, 2001. Hawke played rookie cop Jake Hoyt, alongside Denzel Washington, as one of a pair of narcotics detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department spending 24 hours in the gang neighborhoods of South Los Angeles. The film was a box office hit, taking $104 million worldwide, and garnered generally favorable reviews. 2152 Variety wrote that Hawke adds feisty and cunning flourishes to his role that allow him to respectably hold his own under formidable circumstances. 53. Paul Clinton of CNN reported that Hawke's performance was totally believable as a doe-eyed rookie going toe-to-toe with a legend Washington. 54. Hawke himself described Training Day as his best experience in Hollywood. 14. His performance earned him Screen Actors Guild and Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor. 55-56. A close-up photo of a Caucasian male with light brown hair. The collar of a white shirt is visible in the photo, with a black jacket and black tie. Hawke at the 2007 Toronto International Film Festival. Hawke pursued a number of projects away from acting throughout the early 2000s. He made his directorial debut with Chelsea Walls, 2002, an independent drama about 5 struggling artists living in the famed Chelsea Hotel in New York City. 57. The film was critically and financially unsuccessful. 58. A second novel, 2002's Ash Wednesday, was better received and made the New York Times bestseller list. 59. The Tale of an AWOL Soldier and His Pregnant Girlfriend. 14. The novel attracted critical praise. The Guardian called it sharply and poignantly written, makes for an intense one-sitting read. 60. The New York Times noted that in the book Hawke displayed a novelist's innate gifts, a sharp eye, a fluid storytelling voice and the imagination to create complicated individuals, but was weaker at narrative tricks that can be taught. 61. In 2003, Hawke made a television appearance, guest starring in the second season of the television series Alias, where he portrayed a mysterious CIA agent. 62. In 2004, Hawke returned to film, starring in 2 features, Taking Lives and Before Sunset. Upon release, Taking Lives received broadly negative reviews. 63. But Hawke's performance was favored by critics, with the Star Tribune noting that he plays a complex character persuasively. 64. Before Sunset, the sequel to Before Sunrise, 1995, co-written by Hawke, Linklater, and Delpy, was much more successful. 65. The Hartford Courant wrote that the 3 collaborators keep Jesse and Celine iridescent and fresh, one of the most delightful and moving of all romantic movie couples. 66. Hawke called it one of his favorite movies, a romance for realists. 67-68. Before Sunset was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, Hawke's first screenwriting Oscar nomination. 69. Hawke starred in the 2005 action thriller Assault on Precinct 13, a loose remake of John Carpenter's 1976 film of the same title, with an updated plot. The film received ambivalent reviews. Some critics praised the dark, swift feel of the film, while others compared it unfavorably to John Carpenter's original. 70. Hawke also appeared that year in the political crime thriller Lord of War, playing an Interpol agent chasing an arms dealer played by Nicolas Cage. 71. In 2006, Hawke was cast in a supporting role in Fast Food Nation, directed by Richard Linklater based on Eric Schlosser's best-selling 2001 book. 72. The same year, Hawke directed his second feature, The Hottest State, based on his eponymous 1996 novel. The film was released in August 2007 to a tepid reception. 73. In 2007, Hawke starred alongside Philip Seymour Hoffman, Marissa Tomei, and Albert Finney in the crime drama Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. 74. The final work of Sidney Lumet, the film received critical acclaim. 75. USA Today called it highly entertaining, describing Hawke and Hoffman's performances as excellent. 76. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone praised Hawke's performance, noting that he digs deep to create a haunting portrayal of loss. 77. The following year, Hawke starred with Mark Ruffalo in the crime drama What Doesn't Kill You. Despite the favorable reception 78, the film was not given a proper theatrical release due to the bankruptcy of its distributor. 79 In 2009, Hawke appeared in two features, New York, I Love You, a romance movie comprising 12 short films, 80 and Staten Island, a crime drama co-starring Vincent D'Onofrio and Seymour Cassel. 81. 2010s, Before Midnight, Boyhood, First Reformed. In 2010, Hawke starred as a vampire hematologist in the science fiction horror film Daybreakers. 82 Filmed in Australia with the Spierig brothers, the feature received reasonable reviews 83 and earned $51 million worldwide. 21 His next role was in Antoine Fuqua's Brooklyn's Finest as a corrupt narcotics officer. 84 The film opened in March to a mediocre reception 85 yet his performance was well received, with the New York Daily News concluding, Hawke continuing an evolution towards stronger, more intense acting than anyone might have predicted from him 20 years ago drives the movie. 84. In the 2011 television adaptation of Herman Melville's Moby Dick, Hawke played the role of Starbuck, the first officer to William Hurt's Captain Ahab. 86 He then starred opposite Kristen Scott Thomas in Powell Polakowski's The Woman in the Fifth, a lush puzzler about an American novelist struggling to rebuild his life in Paris. 87-88. In 2012, Hawke entered the horror genre for the first time, by playing a true crime writer in Scott Derrickson's Sinister, which grossed $87 million at the worldwide box office. The film was the first in a series of highly profitable films for Hawke after the start of the new decade. 89 In the week prior to the US opening of Sinister, Hawke explained that he was previously turned off by horror because good acting is not always required for success. However, the producer of Sinister, Jason Blum, who formerly ran a theater company with Hawke, made the offer to the actor based on the character and director. When I was younger, I ran a theater company with this guy, Jason Blum. And he loved horror movies and he went on to create his own little subgenre with Paranormal Activity. And he kept trying to talk to me about how I should love this whole genre. And I told him, I've never had a script with a really great character and a real filmmaker attached to it that I'd be interested in. So, he brought me into it. 31. A Caucasian male with bleached hair, wearing a black overcoat. The collar of a gray suit is visible in the photo, with a white shirt and dark gray tie. Hawke at the premiere of Before Midnight in Berlin, Germany, February 2013. During 2013, Hawke starred in 3 films of different genres. Before Midnight, the third installment of the Before series, reunited Hawke with Delpy and Linklater. 90 Like its predecessors, the film garnered a considerable degree of critical acclaim. 91 Variety wrote that one of the great movie romances of the modern era achieves its richest and fullest expression in Before Midnight, and called the scene in the hotel room one for the actor's handbook. 92. The film earned co-writers Hawke, Linklater, and Delpy another Academy Award nomination, for Best Adapted Screenplay. 93. Hawke then starred in the horror thriller The Purge, about an American future where crime is legal for one night of the year. Despite mixed reviews, 94 The film topped the weekend box office with a $34 million debut, the biggest opening of Hawke's career. 95 Hawke's third film of 2013 was the action thriller Getaway, which was both critically and commercially unsuccessful. 96-97. The release of Linklater's Boyhood, a film shot over the course of 12 years, occurred in mid-2014. 98 It follows the life of an American boy from age 6 to 18, with Hawke playing the protagonist's father. The film became the best reviewed film of 2014, and was